So they can hear us finally.
They can finally hear us, dude.
They've been missing so much good stuff like this whole time. We had so many deep philosophical. We actually solved half the world's problems.
Yeah, but we forgot them all.
Yeah, that's also true.
Forgot them all?
I'm just not going to repeat myself.
Whatever, dude. What's up, guys? This is the Toasty Podcast. My name's Skye.
I'm Matty B.
Today we have a special guest, and you know what? I've got no pre-existing notions about this podcast. We are just going to get into it. So let's get toasty. All right, guys.
Cool.
Howdy.
What's up, everybody? Live yet again?
Yes, sir. And I think every single week now we're going to be live, no matter what. That's just how I want to do it.
I kind of like the live vibe. Makes it more exciting.
I agree. I completely agree.
Okay, so real quick, I've been getting some criticisms. I'm not going to say for the whole episode.
I don't believe you.
I'll keep you in check.
Okay.
I don't believe you for a second.
I'm going to try and go the whole episode.
So what I'm gonna do, guys, from now on, since I'm going live every single episode, I've decided that I'm gonna do something a little bit different on the comments section. I will read your comments at a certain point in the video. It will not be all the time. It will not be constant. I will go into what I would call a chat section, read some comments, make my own comments about those comments, and then we'll go from there. That's about it. And if you guys haven't already shared this, please share this. This is how we get famous. Share the video. Yeah. Share us. Share the YouTube channel. Share whatever you want to share about it. You don't have to do anything. It doesn't cost you a dime. Just a few clicks and a few seconds of your life.
It could cost you a dime if you join our Patreon, though.
You could join patreon.com/Toasty Podcast. You could do that if you want to, but that's extra. That's like the top levels. That's the OGs right there. And honestly, right now we only have 2. So let's keep that going.
Let's keep it rolling.
Let's
get
keep that
3.
going up, right?
Let's end this episode with one more Patreon subscriber. It could
What?
be you.
Yeah, heck yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's do that.
Go.
It's not a pyramid scheme, I promise. Today we have Brian Carrasco.
No,
Casco. I'm sorry, dude.
Where'd you get the R from?
Yeah.
That's what, I don't know. I literally don't know where it came from. I've worked with this guy for a while. He is a cool dude. That's all I'll say. We'll get into it, honestly. We'll just talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Really.
Where are you from?
Actually here, born in Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
But I was made in Honduras.
Made in Honduras. I love that, dude. Made in Honduras. Hell yeah. So I kind of want to get into, I'll talk about some topics here real quick. The gas shortage, everyone wants to talk about that, of course. And I've got a few statistics, if you will.
The fact that we're living in 1979.
Apparently.
Again.
You're right. So in Durham, Charlotte, North Carolina, 63% of gas stations are closed or don't have gas. Not
63% in Charlotte, North Carolina.
68% in Atlanta don't have gasoline.
I heard Atlanta.
47% in freaking Tallahassee. Pensacola has 44% down, and then Raleigh, Durham, that's also North Carolina, is 81%. Holy crap! I don't know how big Durham is though. It's insane times we're in now, guys. Insane times, and it has a lot to do with people actually freaking out, like the toilet paper incident we had, and trying to get as much as they can, right?
Than
it should be?
Than it is, yeah.
Sure, but what I want to get into, I've heard some tremors of conspiracies, and I want to get into that. So we know what we know as far as the news tells us, and that is Dark Side, the hacker group, whatever you want to call it, got in and they sold ransomware to someone, and that someone used that ransomware for this pipeline to shut everything down.
Oh, I didn't realize it was.
When they shut
a direct attack from.
Well, they apologized for it. Apparently, they were asking for I think $200-something thousand.
They ended up paying about
$5 million.
$5 million.
They ended up paying way more than they asked for.
Yeah.
What the heck is that? I thought literally like a few days ago, they came out and they were like, "We apologize for this. We don't need any money," kind of thing, right? Because they didn't expect it to be.
Really random to me, to be honest.
Okay, well, I can kind of get on board. I kind of think that there's a little bit too much going on as far as coincidences. You know, we have a lot of shortages happening, and it does definitely play into that. And you know, we all have talked about revolution and civil war and all this other crap, and it doesn't help. That's for sure. But anyway, they apologized, and they're like, we actually have guidelines. They have guidelines. Hackers have guidelines of who they're going to like mess with. And the government's off
They're like
limits.
Robin Hood groups. This is how they see themselves.
That's how they see themselves,
Yeah,
right?
You really don't want to mess with the big dogs.
You don't mess with governments. You don't mess with, I think, infrastructure like electricity and stuff like that. Apparently, that's what they said. And now they're going to add oil to that because they were like, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. We apologize. But they said it was kind of out of their control. They're trying to make it like someone else's problem because they sold this ransomware to this person. That may have not even happened. I don't know, dude. I don't know what I believe anymore there on that news article, on this whole thing.
Seems like a bunch of coincidences. So, I don't know. Just things to me aren't really adding up. You have this whole thing with unemployment going on. Necessarily, I don't think it really would affect truck drivers, but maybe the people that work on plants or anywhere.
I'm reading Wall Street Journal. All I can see is that it says that they paid $5 million in cryptocurrency.
In crypto.
It doesn't say. It doesn't say what
Freaking crypto, dude.
They use probably Bitcoin. It's got the most stable price as of recently.
I believe it was like unencrypted though. Like you can't really decipher who has it because I think Bitcoin's a little bit more transparent.
Huh.
Wowzers, dude. So you just think, what do you think is going on behind the scenes then? Like, if there is something going on behind the scenes, what do we got? Do you think governments are involved? What do you think,
I mean, look, man, if you just a simple Google search on gas shortage, you could probably look up something about that happened 2 weeks ago that they're already, you have The Guardian.
I think I know where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
There was an article in April.
Yeah, 29th.
29th, right?
Yeah.
Of course, Tim Pool brings us up.
Yeah.
And shout out again, of course. He's a cool guy. You guys should look him up, see what he's got to offer.
I like Tim Pool.
He's a moderate dude. He does similar things to what we do, maybe not with as much personality. He was talking about this April 29th article that basically stated that there was a gas shortage.
Yeah.
Before there was a gas shortage. Where does that come from? Is it like a misprint? Is it like some rando dude that does the wrong thing? Or is it literally like this is planned? Like, and that's what I don't like. I don't like that one article could come out and we're like...
It's articles.
Yeah, I haven't found anything that says that they paid them more than what they were asking for.
That's what's weird, man. Like, really a company really giving in to someone in pain.
WCNC Charlotte, a gas shortage this summer isn't caused by what you think it is. The potential gas shortage is not a lack of gasoline, and this was published April 29th, 2021. Millions of Americans are expected to take a post-pandemic vacation this summer, but that big road trip could be stalled by gas shortages. Why would they say that? Where did that come from on April 29th? But the gas shortage is not because of lack of gasoline. New data shows 20 to 25% of tanker truck carriers are sitting idle because there aren't enough qualified drivers. So that's what they're trying to say in this article. But then you listen to truck drivers and they're like, nah, there's plenty.
Yeah, that just seems like
there's plenty of truck drivers, but is there, like they said, qualified?
They have to be hazmat
Qualified.
hazmat certified.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Interesting. That's good. That's a good point. Maybe there's not. It's just weird. It just plays into it, and you're like, "What the heck's going on?"
About earlier when we were outside, we were talking about that weird little wordplay.
Yeah. What does that? Right. What does that mean? I agree. I think that you want to go into that. You words are changing faster than they were before.
Definitions are changing too.
Definitions are changing faster than they were before.
Yeah.
Like I go back all the way, like gentlemen. How has that changed? It's changed a lot. It doesn't mean the same thing it did way back in Great Britain or wherever.
Yeah. Oh no!
Gentleman was like a status. It was like a money status, right? Am I right?
Yeah, completely.
That's what it was.
A gentleman actually had a definition.
Right.
It wasn't just like ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
It wasn't a generic term for a adult male.
Right. So that in that sense, that definition was just kind of dumbed down to mean more generic things.
Just like everything else in American English, for sure. We've dumbed down our language so much. It's hard for me to find the word.
But
ridiculous.
No one forced you to call them a gentleman.
What do you mean?
No one was forcing you to call them a gentleman. Like now you have things happening where you have to call somebody something.
Oh yeah,
you're ostracized if you don't.
Forcing speech via pronouns for sure. Yeah, that's pretty scary stuff. Like that video I showed you last week after the show was that chick with the orange hair.
It was a
Pronouns,
TikTok
you will
video,
not refer
wasn't
to
it?
me. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
like
TikTok
that.
video. Of course, everything that is poison is on TikTok. But on the other hand, I will say I am okay with everything being on TikTok.
Follow us on TikTok.
Because, well, we're on TikTok as well. But what I'm trying to say is I don't want to defend this toxic side of TikTok, but I also like free speech and freedom to express
Yeah.
Freedom of expression is important, and it matters. Now, as far as, well, my kid's watching, that's not good. I think that's your problem. I think that's
you
that's
need to be a better parent.
that's a parental problem. I don't think that's
now, on the other hand, TikTok did just pay $5.4 million in fines because they were taking the rights of, they're taking private information and data and addresses of children under 13.
What?
Yeah.
Where did you find that? I'm about to look that crap up. Are you serious, dude?
Yeah. They paid millions of dollars. I think it was 5.4, something like that. $1 million in fines for gathering data of underage, like under 13.
Yahoo News, you ready? Activists. It says activists. I don't know why. It's like they're using negative connotations. Activists allege TikTok violated agreement on child protection. This is May 14th, 2020. 2-minute read. Washington, a coalition of consumer groups filed a complaint Thursday with U.S. regulators claiming the popular video app TikTok has failed to live up to an agreement last year limiting data collection from children. The 20 organizations filed this. The 20 organizations said in a Federal Trade Commission complaint that TikTok continues to collect data on children under 13 without parental consent, despite a February 2019 U.S. court settlement. That's insane. So we're dealing with that now.
Yeah, and then
we haven't proven it is or isn't happening,
is,
but I mean, wow,
it's kind of weird how kids are just really like on social media like that, and
they don't know what information they're giving away
really
to
almost
who.
in a way being indoctrinated. And
yeah, they are.
Thinking, without really knowing that.
Yep.
That's also something I was trying to talk about, was really like that wordplay. Like right now, just you reading activist, like what picture that paints for you. But it's like what I said earlier about being indoctrinated, like, just kind of, I guess really just, I'm trying to gather my thoughts on this one.
You're good, dude.
So, you have instances like, back over here in South Lake in Texas, we had back in 2018, a bunch of kids for social media, same thing, posting this thing, just saying the N-word just to, get a rise out of people. And it kind of caused, I guess, like an uproar and this whole thing where basically they needed to learn critical race theory. And it's kind of was disguised the same way TikTok is kind of almost in a way being disguised, like with communist underlines under it,
Mm-hmm.
So, the thing they were trying to pass in South Lake was called the Cultural Compassion Action Plan. And
wait, Cultural Competence Action Plan. Yeah,
action
Heck
plan.
Yeah,
Sorry,
dude.
I was trying to find the word for it.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird, like how that wordplay, you don't want to be culturally competent, Yeah,
and you're going to be defensive.
Yeah, but when you read those 34 pages that they were trying to pass in South Lake, it was really like it had things to do with basically equity, LGBTQ stuff, and just a lot of other stuff besides really just, this cultural competence.
Yeah, there's really a lot of underlying things, and they're not going to tell you about it, and they're going to play it the way they want.
Yeah.
You're talking about narrative. Like, wordplay is a good word for it, I guess, but it's a narrative, and that whole narrative goes into everything. Yeah. It's no longer, it's just a media narrative. I think we have and I'll say it that way, we have let it happen to where now narrative is in the government.
Yeah, it's really bleeding into even
and that tells
and
me,
culture.
Government ends up being extremely biased, which you can have your views, and that's fine. But being biased to where you can actually, every single portion of the government can act on that bias, that's a problem. Because then you end up with, where I guess Washington is doing the same thing. They're passing this bill that will be, critical race theory will be mandated in a way, mandatory in all schools to be taught as part of their curriculum.
So this is I'm on South Lake Carroll edu. SouthLakeCarroll.edu.
We have a little bit of local stuff going on now, dude.
Yeah.
We don't normally get into local stuff. I like that.
Yeah, that's good,
we need
though.
to touch on this,
So South Lake
this is DFW, guys.
South Lake Carroll's a very upper income area.
Yeah, roughly about 230 is like the average
median income. I would guess it's higher than that. Aledo.
That's whatever you claim on your taxes, right?
Was high, yeah. It was high when I was growing up there. So during the meeting, Carroll ISD shared a cultural competence action plan for immediate implementation that included the following. This is a draft. This whole thing is a draft. from Carroll ISD Cultural Competence Plan.
Mm-hmm.
Accountability. So these are bullet points. I'll go through pretty quick. Accountability for students involved in the racial slur video according to the law and the Student Code of Conduct. Strengthen CISD expectations of students and update written discipline policies to address any harassing, offensive, hateful, or discriminatory speech directed at individuals or groups of individuals based on race, religion, color, national origin, blah, 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 blah. Emphasize cultural awareness within the anti-bullying and kindness focus area of the Resiliency Project, and that's capitalized. I'm guessing that's some other project that's going on. Of
You
course,
don't want to be resilient either.
yeah, exactly. They're putting all these labels and names on these action plans, and they're basically just indoctrination. To include, so the area of the Resilience Plan to include resources for staff, parents, and students on the Resiliency Project website. This is where it starts to get weird. Form a district diversity council to support and nurture the increasingly diverse student population in our district. So now it's going to be a district diversity council. Who knows what they're going to implement? Stuff like emphasize cultural competence in our K through 12 curriculum as an important skill for students to have as they enter an adult world with ever increasing diversity.
So they are creating a whole new committee for this.
They're trying to.
This is taxpayers, right? Money.
Yeah,
Like-
but it didn't pass. It actually got struck down. So the votes were like 70-30.
Yeah.
70 to 30.
Oh, it
in
got.
Texas.
Yeah, it got. They're
Demolished.
Like, no, this is ridiculous.
But it's just weird that it's just even an idea and good enough to be passed down to like even have that like as an option to teach our children.
Yeah, and this goes back to, I think, like I said, I think we have been a long time asleep. Anyone against these things or anyone that would be a normal human being that has logical thinking skills has been asleep. As far as politics go.
Yeah.
And that needs to change, right? But, it takes a while. It takes a while. We're talking about years, dude.
So I'm looking at some of their demographics. 2008, 2009, they were 88.1% white. 2017 to 2018, so about 9 years later, they were 66.7% white. So they are getting more diverse.
Yeah, but what is it being replaced with? That big chunk.
Asians.
Huh.
Yeah, didn't see that one coming, did you? Asians, a little bit more Hispanics, and about the same number of blacks. So that's pretty interesting, and it's because they're a good school district with,
High academics.
Exactly. That's why you see a lot of Asian families moving there, because they focus on
know.
academics.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's why they're number one in school.
They're smart, dude. There's nothing to say. They're smart.
Well,
I don't want to tell you, dude.
They're smart, but they also focus on, like I said, they're not distracted by sports as much. They're not distracted by pop culture.
That's a culture thing for them. That's their culture for them. That's literally it, right? They run it that way.
They have more culture, but it's more. I guess it is like a cultural thing. It's
for
not.
Them,
it's
right?
not their culture, but
No.
it is like a cultural aspect of how they live.
Yeah, I'd say whenever how someone lives has happened for so many generations, at that point you've created a culture of it, right? That's part of the culture. It's not all they obviously all they do. I know they have more culture than that. I get that.
I think a big part of it for at least Japanese Americans specifically, or even the Japanese people as a whole, and even to an extent South Koreans, so Japan can't have an army. They can only have a self-defense force, right? Because of World War II.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What?
They cannot have an army at all. They can only have
Who decided
defense.
who made those rules? Me? Or not me. That was weird.
America did, yeah, whenever the Japanese surrendered.
Holy crap, not me. Holy crap,
also
USA?
The Soviet
Jeez,
Union. The Soviet Union had a big play in it because, I don't know if you knew this, but the Sino-Japanese War, which was a war between Russia and Japan, because they are right next to each other, right? You don't think about that being over here, but they're right next to each other. They fought over all these small islands, and Japan could have gone to war with the Soviet Union right after the atomic bombs were dropped, but the Soviet Union was like, "Look, you're done. We're gonna start invading if you don't surrender." So that's what a huge other factor what led to the surrender of the Japanese after World War II. But my point is, they can't have the standing army. So what they did, instead of focusing on military growth. They focused on academic growth and investing in their universities and investing in inward as opposed to
Expanding.
as opposed to being expanding, being an imperialist nation. So it helped them out a lot as a nation. Japan's doing quite well, but they do have like the highest suicide rate in the world. So that's another interesting Japanese fact.
Holy
Jeez,
crap.
man.
So you have a kid, right?
Yeah.
How old?
9 years old.
Okay.
What made you think of that?
Yeah.
We were just jumping all over the place.
That's just how it's gonna go in this podcast, man. We're just gonna be jumping.
That's cool. I'm
I'm
just
trying to like not
what?
jump in and like go in a different.
Well, I want you to
direction
jump in.
than
I'm trying to bring you in.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were talking about TikTok earlier.
Oh, okay.
I just want to know how you
I
handle
mean-
that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I honestly think it's like social media sometimes is really used to dumb us down. Honestly, like it's just weird that how easily influenced we are. That's the whole thing that I was talking about, with the play on words, the indoctrination, and all.
Okay,
that.
but hold on. But you said used. So do you think, like, you don't think it's just a natural progression of technology and that it does cause problems?
I definitely do think it is, but I also think like it's kind of weird how it's not really regulated, and when it is regulated, it's kind of brought down against people that don't think a certain way.
So when TV came out, this is a long time, of course, but TV was that thing for a lot of generations. TV was the thing people would literally have a TV in their kitchen. They're watching TV all the time.
Before that, it was funny papers.
Before that, I guess it was funny papers. But when TV came out, you know how many regulations TV has? There's a lot. There was
Tons.
there was ratings. There was like different, like who can watch this,
The
who can watch
FCC,
what. FCC, right? Is that what it's FCC?
Yeah,
Or-
FCC. Yeah. Sorry.
They came out, radio and TV. They were like, we got to regulate this stuff and make sure. I can't say, shit on the radio or whatever, or I can't say these things without having some repercussion or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was what they used, right? We used that. So you're right. Our newest technology that is our attention grabber, I think there's always an attention grabber,
Sure.
was social media, and there was nothing. So yeah, well, here we are.
There is nothing.
There is
still.
still nothing. There's nothing to say this is regulated. They have parental controls, but those are designed by the same freaking company, right? And
Yeah.
to an extent, that's the reason I like podcasting, is because it's free, and it's free for us to be here talking, and we can say whatever we want to, and Spotify won't take it down, Apple won't take it down, no one takes it down. In the same regard, though, so on the radio, if we were on the radio right now, there's a lot of stuff we'd have to be in line here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to say some things. And
We'd have advertisement breaks.
We
and
wouldn't
stuff
have been
like
able
that.
to talk about a different culture. Honestly, probably would have said you
No,
can't
no
do
way.
that. You
You're
can't
white.
talk about a different culture. You're white. That's what
Yeah.
would have happened.
White privilege, man.
But I'm just being honest,
No,
dude.
that's
But
true, yeah.
social media.
That's why I can only be on a podcast. I would last 30 seconds for the radio. Producer would come and be like, "Dude, get out, get out."
Get the heck out,
You just
brother.
cost me like 10 grand in fines.
There
Like,
would be
go.
riots.
Oh my
You wouldn't
God.
Make it outside of that front door, man.
But then to an extent, you say we want less government regulation in a sense because you just said that. Fines, right? So we have fines all the time for this FCC guidelines, and government's just raking in money from that, and maybe they just want the money from it. Why don't they help social media then? Or why don't they regulate social media then?
I mean, in a way, they do. Like, you want to use a platform like obviously YouTube.
I'm trying to
Or-
build up to a conspiracy
or,
theory.
Or I mean, even Facebook. You start talking, you start saying a little bit there, and they're not going to let you say what you want to say. Is it really?
Is it really free speech? Right.
Same thing.
You're being
with-
censored.
Yeah.
Who's censoring it? Is it really the company? And then you have
It's just
this thing where how is the government making money from this? This thing, social media and big tech, is so big now. The government does not just sit by and think, we don't need to make money from that. That's not how that works in our government now.
There's two things. One, it's a great way for them to campaign. And two, it's a great distraction for the American people. If the American people are looking at Johnny's new boat, Johnny and Lake Day, then
What?
they're not.
Where did that come
They're
from?
not reading. They're not. I'm just saying, if they're looking at stupid random pictures
I
of
mean,
some other
yeah.
guy's
You're
boat,
you're good at coming up with that stuff. By
they're
the way.
looking at. They're not. They're going to be looking at HR1 and SB1.
Yeah.
The federal
dude.
takeover of
Dude,
our election
okay.
cycle. That's what's going on
Yeah,
right now.
okay.
The Senate
I-
has their own bill now.
Hold on, dude.
It's
Hold on.
going down, bro.
Okay, hold on. I
telling you,
have stuff I want to talk about right now. You mentioned it. I'm gonna bring it up right now.
That's our word of the day.
I saw some posts on Facebook, and here's what I do now. Every week I pick one day of the week. It's been Saturday for the last couple weeks. I find one post that I think is just awesome,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Oh,
and I'm being
cool.
sarcastic, and I comment on it, and I just go ham.
Oh, cool.
I've decided that's what I do, and I know I'm not a Facebook
You're
warrior.
just gonna troll one
and I
person
know,
a week.
and
is
it's
what
not,
you're
I'm not
saying.
gonna troll. I'm gonna try
That's
to.
a good
I'm
way
gonna try to
use a
say
Saturday.
things, but honestly, it ends up being that way because of how Facebook works. It's terrible.
Because-
it gets us nowhere. I just
we
want to
have
say
facts.
that, and I know it gets us nowhere. And honestly, apologies to everyone that hates my
No,
comments.
screw them.
But what I've been doing is in my notes, I'm like, this is what I want to say, and then I don't say it because I'm like, that's too much, right? And I had a status that I didn't comment on, and it was, so when do we fight our government? Like, when do we actually fight?
When they come to take our guns.
And I literally say, when tyranny is at your door. Luckily for you, everyone that would be against you is behind a keyboard in their house, not working because it pays well, and locked inside because of an exaggerated virus on the premise that the government is your answer/savior/leader. The people that have to break in order to cause any sort of actual revolution that you want are the right side, and fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, we aren't going to hit that point for a while. A while, in my opinion, being 6 to 8 years. And that was right after the jobs report. I was just feeling it. I was like fiery. I was like, ooh, this is it, dude. The jobs report basically stating that unemployment now pays about roughly $16 an hour. The average McDonald's, and I've seen one literally in Arlington, in Texas, which usually would be the least paying because Texas is the lowest cost of living, paying $15 an hour. Not
That's nuts.
right when you start, but if you do well, it's pretty easy to promote.
Yeah.
The sign literally says $11 to $15 an hour within a couple of months.
You know,
$15 an hour.
I guarantee you,
Because they're trying to get people.
within 6 months, you're gonna see fast food prices go up. And I'm talking like
Right.
the elimination of the dollar.
But if you do
being
the
up.
math, if I was the guy on unemployment, if you do the math, that's $1 an hour, right? Because you make $16 an hour and you go to work for $15 an hour, you're losing, you know?
Yeah, and that's after a
but
while.
I mean, you still have to drive to work. You still have to.
So you're
do
not
the
making
job.
any money.
No, you're not. You're actually probably
And
losing money.
if you want to
Probably-
talk about finances, that's not smart. That's stupid.
And if you're sitting at home, you could have a side hustle going. You could have your OnlyFans page going on.
I know
at
the
home
person
and
right
still
now, and I
collecting
will not.
unemployment.
Yes, I know of a person right now, and I will not name
Selling
names because I'm
property.
not going to do that because I am actually.
buying and selling.
It's
some
very
Dodge.
interesting how I am, but I'm actually for, screw the government right now
Oh.
because I'm so pissed. But it doesn't work
Chill.
because it ends up being chill. It ends up being inflationary and it ruins everyone else's lives. Now, here's what I'm going to say though. He literally works at a job that pays him cash and he has unemployment. Do you think that's not happening everywhere?
It happens a lot.
It happens
yeah.
a lot. And
Yeah.
we're just here I am, self-employed, probably about to get a part-time job because I'm like need to make some more money anyway. I'm okay with that. I'm not complaining by any means. I'm a
it's-
hustler guy, but I'm just saying like it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
We live in two different worlds now and they're getting more and more divided.
Yeah.
There are approximately 7.1 million jobs available currently, and that was like last Friday. There might be more now. Now I won't spit the same get a job narrative because I honestly would not work for $1 an hour. The point I will make is I got there because we raised the minimum unemployment. That's how we got there. Now imagine what we did if we had if that was the actual income. Like what happens to the actual income if that's what's going to keep going? And I was just trying to explain that inflation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, stop voting for more money. It doesn't get you anywhere. Literally, money will continue to decrease in value, as you do nothing for it.
Yeah. I was.
So it'll be do nothing for nothing. You'll be doing nothing for nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because unemployment, it's so crazy to me. If you guys have savings out there right now, this is one thing. This is my advice for the future.
Put your money somewhere else.
If you have savings right now,
Get
your
rid of your
savings will
cash.
not be worth it. If you have money in a mattress, your money will not be worth it. Please, whatever you do, if you own assets, keep those assets. If you want to own more assets, buy them now.
I was telling my brother this. My brother was like, "What's a good stable long term investment?" Right? Like I want something like gold, but not volatile. And I was like, "There's two things that are going to go up. Three things actually. Land is always a good investment. Your house is always a good investment. Keep putting money, keep getting equity in your house, because that way, when there's a dip, in the local housing market or in the national housing market, you've got that equity. You're okay. you can possibly refinance your house and get a good deal. Make a bad situation into a good situation. Second thing that's gonna go up in value, that's gonna maintain its value, is precious metals. I mean, yeah, platinum, gold, silver, iridium. I don't care.
I'm gonna
Whatever
throw
it
this.
is.
I'm gonna throw cryptocurrency into it.
Third thing is crypto.
Yeah. Because I think it's happening
Absolutely.
now. You know, I was a skeptic. I was a skeptic of it because everyone wants to talk about cryptocurrency in the form of trading. You know, you go straight from talking about stocks to cryptocurrency. That is not how I think about it.
Yeah, do not equate
I have
those.
started thinking about it. I'm like, wait a second. This is what will replace it. This is what will replace our currency if that's the case.
I mean, it's virtual gold.
So then I started investing in cryptocurrency, not for investing necessarily, just so my dollar is like, when it's
Stable.
worth nothing, I can still have that.
Yeah.
And going back to the housing thing, I know we talked about housing earlier a few podcasts ago, and I know I spoke out against buying a house. I think I was talking about personal people buying a house to live, not for investing purposes. And also, I will say this. I did some more research, and I did not factor in the fact that inflation, how we're going to hit it, it'll be hyperinflation. Your loan will be worth less to you. The bank, so that's actually good for you. That actually, the way it's playing out, honestly, is a perfect scenario. If you bought a house right now and we hit inflation, you'd have an asset at that point, but don't have the savings. That's all I gotta say.
Cash is going to diminish in value, but your assets, your house, your
Like your
land-
car loans you have right now, they'll be worth half what they are now, and you'll be like sitting pretty.
Yeah.
You'll be paying the exact same
As
amount.
long as your wages go up.
As long as your wages
But
go up with
if
inflation,
our wages
yeah.
stay the same, you're going to have what's called stagflation. That's what happened in the 70s. Wages stayed the same, prices went up, and people were like, oh, crap. Now I
But-
can't afford food.
I agree with you. And that obviously is a thing. I can't say it's not a thing because it, facts. But but if you go the way you are right now, as far as unemployment being what it is, I don't know if there's a way. I don't know if I can say this on the show. The dealership we work at just made pay raises.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
So because I think they're just trying to
Had an hour-long
be ahead of
phone
it.
call with Dacus.
Really?
today.
Yeah. I think they're just trying to be ahead of it. It's interesting though
That,
because
and they're losing techs left and right.
yeah,
like
I
good
think
ones.
that should have happened years ago.
Yeah.
Because now they're caught up to what they should have been years ago.
Yeah.
So they're still
They
they're
are
still
behind.
screwed. You're
And
still screwed,
they're
right?
changing rules. It's not good.
Whatever, dude. Yeah, I wasn't trying to get into the dealership talk, but like
Yeah.
that, what I'm trying to say is they're already doing the raise thing, and McDonald's is offering. So you're saying, well, wages will have to go up, dude. Wages are already going, like it's already happening, dude. Because they have to, because we have 7.1
They're
freaking
forced.
million jobs that are not being filled. I'm about to get a part-time job at BJ's, right? Because I need to supply money for this podcast. By the way, if you want to support us, please support us. Share the freaking video. I don't care. I want people to hear what we have to say, and in order to do that, you got to share it. Also, I need equipment. The more equipment, the better. The better the camera, the better. All this stuff matters. So I'm supplying my own money to this. I don't do sponsors because I'm too small for that, and I also don't really agree with that because it ruins your.
It's too much influence.
It ruins your, what is it called? Credibility. It ruins your credibility.
And objectiveness.
Right. I do affiliates. And so if you guys want something that I provide as an affiliate, that's great, like Liquid IV or whatever it might be, but that's easy. That's on Amazon, whatever. All that to say, I'm getting a part-time job to do that crap. And you know how easy that was? Because there's so many freaking jobs available. I applied and literally the same day, I applied online, and the same day they called me.
Yeah.
That never happens. Because you apply on some stupid website that isn't even affiliated, what's affiliated, but it's not the restaurant's website.
Yeah.
It's some generic application website.
It's a third party.
Third party. They called me the same day. I'm like, this is cake.
Yeah.
And of course, I acted like a personable human being, and I think she was taken aback because she was like,
actually want
thank
a
you,
job?
thank you, bye. I was like, what?
You
like
want
stuttered.
to work?
I'm like, yo, I don't care. I'm gonna be a server, so a little bit different scenario there. I'm hoping that tips will make up for it. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, what do
IRS
you get
can't
paid
track
like
me, so.
$2.30 an hour or something like that?
Huh?
You get like $2.30 an hour. or something
I
like
don't know,
that.
dude. Something
The
like
tips
that,
are like
dude.
your whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about it, but all that to say, if you guys are looking for a job, man,
Yeah.
I think it's competitive out there, and I think you can find a job that pays well. And I don't
sure.
like, yes, work conditions were whatever. I guess they weren't that good. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't worked in every industry. What's interesting to me is that the industries that actually need a change and need an overhaul are the ones that were working the whole time COVID was going on.
Yeah.
We're talking about dealerships. We're talking about good old boy industries, to be specific. We're talking about finance, dealerships, and probably banks. So that's finance too. Small banks. Like all these industries that are so convoluted and just effed, in my opinion, that need a change. I'm willing to say this. They need a progressive change, which is insane that I'm saying that.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is coming up to a little bit of the standards that are already in every other industry as far as work treatment,
wages,
hours, benefits, the basics, dude. And it's progressive, yes it is, but really it's
it's progressive.
It's normal.
It is progressive, but it's as long as, in my opinion, progressiveness is progress is fine. Improving work conditions is great.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't be led by the government. They shouldn't be making those rules because that restricts business. The thing is, there's a reason that certain dealerships have less turnover and less and higher pay and happier workers. It's because they're well run, because they're good businesses. It's not because the government made them that way, because good business leaders made good business decisions.
Right.
And now everybody's the better for it. The customer's better. Cars are better. Employees are better. And everybody makes more money. But you do have to have a lot more rules that way. And that's the thing, is it takes discipline. It really that's really what it comes down to, is if you can have the discipline, you can have those kind of benefits and those kind of hours. The problem is a lot of people in those industries, they lack a discipline. You know what I'm saying? They lack the
discipline.
Yeah. That's a South Park joke.
Anyway. Okay. I didn't know. I was like, what the heck are you saying, dude?
So that's the thing is the workers have to be willing to go that extra mile in order to have those kind of perks and benefits as well. It kind of goes both ways. But I do think you're right. I think a lot of dealerships and small banks are kind of going that route of improving the workers' conditions and benefits and pays.
Well, I hope they are.
I hope they are. Sure,
they're going to have to. Yeah, you're right. But what's funny to me is the people that are. This is a generalization, but the people that are on unemployment are the people that probably aren't working in those industries, and they worked at, let's say, restaurants, or they worked at wherever, right? And their work conditions are terrible.
Struggling hard.
And I'll say this. I'm about to be there, and I haven't been there yet, but I can't imagine. Dealerships suck, dude, and I can't imagine it being worse, but maybe they think maybe it is, Or maybe it's the fact that we have a whole lot of societal changes, like we talked about last podcast, and everyone is weaker for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody is weaker.
Strong times breed strong men.
Look at our president.
And soft times breed weak men.
Yeah.
Dude, something I've really been kind of waiting for you guys to talk about was actually the whole thing with Israel and
oh yeah.
Pakistan.
So my problem with talking about that is I don't know a lot about it. I tried to do some research on it to figure things out.
You just today?
Literally,
I'll probably do an hour of research.
I'll see what's going on.
Oh God.
Dude, I got nothing. I
a
literally
70-year-old conflict.
Didn't work, man.
Thousands of years, it feels like.
So you want to talk about the title real quick, just to bring it all back. You asked me about the title earlier, when we first started the episode.
Oh, yeah.
What's this title? What? Well, okay, it was a play on words because he wanted to talk about wordplay and how liberal has completely changed and everything else. We might get into that.
I got really interested in what y'all were talking about.
Dude, you're good. We might get into it. It's whatever. This episode was not specific. I will say that right now to the audience. We weren't trying for anything specific. We weren't coming into this episode like, we're going to talk about this, and it's going to happen. It wasn't like that, man. That's why I said I had no pre-notions for this podcast. It was just let's see what happens. Let's just talk, right? Because I really want that. I wanted the podcast where we could just freaking talk like men, And here we are. But 2B, 2A was like what does it mean to be pro 2A? And 2B, 2A was just a wordplay because he wanted to talk about how words are changing like crazy. And liberal means open-minded, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know the definition.
Classical liberal. Yeah.
Well, I mean, even
and now it means that you're left. You're a leftist guy. You're a liberal.
Mm-hmm.
What? When did that happen?
Yeah, so
You know?
I don't even know what to call you guys sometimes. Like, I mean, off first glance, I thought you guys were like super liberal. Like, I'm talking about at any moment, you guys would have teal hair.
Bro,
I get that.
it's
a
so
lot,
funny though, right?
especially with the glass.
So we used to work with this guy, Brian, and he, I guess he saw my.
Here's your bow tie, man.
Just saw a
You were
bow
just
tie,
screaming
dude. No one really knows that unless they worked with me.
Yeah.
So when I dress up, like at a dealership setting, or if I'm trying to dress really well, I will wear a bow tie. You can call me whatever the hell you want. I don't care. I like the look. I'm cool with it. But it's funny to me because it does throw off. It does throw on
Yeah,
a
I didn't know what
different
to expect.
persona. Like I'm wearing like a pink or purple shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and like slacks or whatever, and a freaking bow tie that has like polka dots on it or some crap.
I don't know, expected you to say anything like, "Oh, I'm pansexual," or
God.
I don't even know, man. Anything that came out of your mouth.
Did not know what to think. Wow.
We actually were talking about it one day.
Wowzers.
What made me think, I was like, "Oh, this cat's not liberal, like lefty liberal
Yeah.
at all." Is when we were actually talking about the election, and I was just going on a rant about like me voting for Trump.
Yeah.
And just what that did with me and my family, and like, why would you go against your people?
In 2016, right? Or
yeah, no,
2016.
2016, I didn't even vote for Trump. I
Okay.
voted for Hillary.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Just
We have another flipped freaking guest right here on the show. This is
Well, I mean,
insane, guys.
It's just out of like family pressure, really. You know, when
Yeah.
you have a grandmother that's from
It's
Honduras.
peer pressure,
I mean,
dude.
You want to
Sierra was the same way. It seemed like peer pressure. It's insane to me.
You just take the time
Groupthink.
to actually like read and
Groupthink.
look into stuff, and you find out like, yo, I actually don't feel that way. But then I feel like me just looking stuff up, it also opened up this whole pathway of like what words mean, you know,
Right.
and how fast like things have progressed just into what just a simple word, just like even as gender. When you look up the word gender, I was telling you guys this outside, just like when you look up the first thing on gender when it's defined on Webster's dictionary, you can just simple Google search again, and it kind of describes it as a spectrum. Yet the next definition for gender is also sex, but then when you click on the word sex, it's a binary thing, male or female. So it's like two, like the same word, but it's contradicting itself.
Mm-hmm. Got two
And just-
definitions now.
Yeah, and it's you know, you have people that might not have the same, I guess, ideology really. That ideology doesn't really believe in what you have to say about gender. They're saying, you're thinking of the word gender as sex, and they're thinking about it as a spectrum, and it's really this weird.
Yeah, and I think that's what's dangerous is when we not only when we have like a left-leaning store versus a right-leaning store, like now we have Twitter versus Parler, and like we've got these two different sections
Yeah.
of social media. And now what's really dangerous is we're going to have two different languages.
Why?
I mean,
Well,
both English, but
the
they,
linguistics are just going to be
yeah,
different.
they
like,
mean two way different.
That's our next
things.
thing. Our language is the next thing I think they're gonna hit.
Oh, they've
hard.
been
I mean,
hitting.
they-
I know, but it's gonna be the next, like the actual split. You think?
I mean, when you think about the beginnings of PC culture in like the 60s and
Yeah.
70s.
So now we're in an oligarchy with
90s.
two different languages.
oligarchy.
That's what last time we
Great
talked
video.
about this. We literally talked about that. So
Yeah.
oligarchy with two different languages is what we're going to end up. I've been doing some research on revolutions and how that happens in a modern revolution. In my opinion, it wouldn't be like Civil War, or like our other revolution. It would be like a factions thing. Like we have different sections of the country that are into different things, and we end up being either against. We have some allies or not, and we're against each other kind of, and we're also against the government.
California, New York, moving into
Right, and I won't say any. I won't name any names here, but like you're right. Literally, you'll have California, Washington, New York.
Red
these
states, blue
the-
states.
the
correct.
coast versus the heartland.
because you already have that happening. We have Antifa, we have Proud Boys, we have these random freaking factions of people that are like themselves now, and they're like intense, dude. They're very
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
Like you go into any of these people's like quote unquote areas, and like it's like gang stuff that you're talking about,
Yeah, it's
bashing windows in and stuff. You're just like of random people.
I mean, just like I just think it's weird, man. Like when I was talking about the whole South Lake thing earlier,
Yeah.
like that's legitimately a time where I feel like you're teaching K to 12. Like, can you imagine if I have a 5-year-old kid? And
That's why I was asking you about TikTok and 9-year-olds, but this right here works too. Can you imagine if your kid
I
was?
was just trying to warm up to you guys. I'm just like hearing you guys talk. You guys are just going off.
I'll do that.
Dude.
I mean, Matt was just going off, just like, dude, chill. I'm trying to keep up. The
You
guy that
said
talks slow,
he
it's
said
a
so
lot.
before the podcast. He's like, I'll wait till like we get on the podcast.
Yeah,
It's
Once I get
different.
going. Once
It's-
the coffee kicks in, that's really
I
when
think
That's it,
what
dude.
It was, man.
But that's what you do, man. You get behind a mic. Things change when you're behind a mic.
Oh yeah, for sure. But just I'll kind of like reel back this in. Yeah, just you were asking me a question about my kid.
Yeah, it can be anything, but I really mean like in today's society. I really, honestly, dude, a better, broader question that you could go anywhere with is like your 9-year-old in today's society, and how do you plan on dealing with these things?
Man, that's a tough question because like I try not to really pick too much about like the race thing on him or anything like that. I just ask him questions. Just really asking questions. He's a smart kid. He's pretty bright. So far, I mean, I guess I've lucked out. I haven't had any teacher like throwing any weird propaganda on him, like, you're being oppressed by white men. Like what? I haven't heard anything like that yet come out of him. He has, I guess, dealt with bullying. That's really what it is when a kid makes fun of him for his skin color because he's a little dark complected.
Yeah,
that's just bullying. I don't think.
Is he darker than you?
He's a little darker than me, but it's just like he's had that moment when he was in first grade. I've had a moment like that in 8th grade where this kid kept on saying my grandmother was a sea turtle because she has a wet back, because that's how she came here. I ended up pushing this kid. Yeah, I know.
Holy crap!
I ended up pushing this kid against the locker, and I told him, "Don't you ever say that." And we were cool after that. But I just think that's just really bullying. Yeah, it's
bullying. Yeah, but the fact that you stood up and said, "I'm going to discipline you this way."
I would say good for you for not wailing on him too hard. But the thing is, that
it could have gone way worse.
Yeah, it's also middle school. Like I mean, everybody says really dumb stuff.
Well, I mean,
yeah, dude. I parted my hair down the middle.
Yikes.
Like, let's just go back to like, what the hell was I doing? I got made fun of that.
Dude.
Yeah, it's like
imagine that. Nah, yeah, for sure though.
But yeah, it's just really like these wordplays, man. Like, what the hell is white privilege? Like,
they've changed it, right? Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. It's a farce.
Yeah, it's just really. I mean, it's just really this wordplay, man. It's just kind of weird when you see these things that are trying to be passed, like anything like, what is it? A care, anything with. I'm trying to think of bills right now that are trying to be passed, but it's or bills that have been passed. They just have like the wording, and it sounds like, oh, you're not going to pass the Compassionate for All People Act.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to see what maybe Washington called theirs. WA2.
The Patriot Act.
Basically, Patriot Act.
You're not a patriot. You don't like America.
You don't like patriotism.
The reason I don't like the Patriot Act is because I do like America. I get the way it is.
So that doesn't even make any sense.
All right, let's see what this is. It's Governor Inslee signs bill requiring critical race theory for public school teachers. I want to see what the bill is called, though. Wow, this doesn't sound anything like we would. K through 12 Education Committee introduced engrossed substitute Senate Bill 5044. So honestly, that doesn't sound like.
First of all, how the hell did that even pass? I would not pass something like that.
Well, you don't. I'm reading it right now. Wow, it just came up. Oh shoot, this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm not gonna get into this. This is a whole bill. This is a whole bill. I can't do that right now.
No, just even talking about like
an act. Oh, an act. I'll just read the first part. Sorry, guys. I keep going back and forth. An act relating to equity, cultural competency, and dismantling institutional racism in the public school system.
Yeah,
amending RCW.
I think we stumbled on a new buzzword for the left is cultural competency.
Cultural competency.
Yeah, something I just thought about right now, like inherently racism or inherent racism. Like what the hell? I understand what racism means, and even calling people like racist and stuff. I understand what inheriting or inherent means, but when you put those two words together, how the hell do you inherit racism? You know what I mean? But they're just like putting these two words together to make up a whole new language.
Yeah.
Well, being inherently racist. Yeah, I don't know. It's
like being indoctrinated to be racist.
Yeah.
But what other way of being
you're
racist
white, so you're automatically that's the
There's a word for it. It's called indoctrination.
That's the oh my gosh, dude.
It's not inherent.
You're white, so you're automatically racist type thing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Cultural competence on Wikipedia, also known as intercultural competence, is a continuous and lifelong journey to increase people's skills in being
Wikipedia is getting
proficient
worse and worse.
in intercultural and intracultural knowledge, which can improve the ability to work with people with different culture.
Sweet. Why can't we just call it respect?
The thing is, though,
why can't we just leave it at respect?
Simple words, just making up words.
Yeah.
It's about someone's character, like we said out there. Character, full stop.
And
Don't at me.
I've touched on this before, I think, a while ago, whenever we were talking about diversity. And diversity's a mixed bag, people. Diversity can be really good, but can also be really detrimental to growth. And
We have a lot
unification.
of problems because of our diversity as a country.
Yeah. We are the most tolerant country on earth. Like, okay.
That's not what CNN.
This is not to say we shouldn't
exactly,
have
right.
diversity. Just to make sure you guys don't freaking go ape.
I'm
ape
saying
shit to
I'm
this.
saying cultural racial diversity is great as long as you realize that this is America. We have our own culture, and you should assimilate to that culture if you want to live here and be an American.
That's what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't move to France. I wouldn't move to France and keep speaking English with my Texas accent. I might speak French in a Texas accent,
Right.
which would sound funny to them. They'd probably laugh. They would laugh.
It'd be funny, honestly.
Silly Texan.
Yeah. Some
But
meatball.
the thing is,
Or
if
whatever it
I
is.
was gonna go and I was gonna get the heck out of here, bro.
We just said it last time.
Southern Europe,
I was
whatever.
making a reference to the last freaking
What is
podcast.
that?
Shut up.
Like South Africa. What is that?
But anyway, if I was gonna move to France and want to like live there, if I wanted to be French, right? Okay, so I would speak their language. I would grow accustomed to their cultures. I wouldn't try and go in and do my American thing over there. Otherwise, I would just stay here, right? That's what I'm saying. Each country has their own culture. That's why Yugoslavia is not a country anymore. 'Cause
So
they
back to
didn't
what I was
have their
saying,
culture.
why can't we do different states then? Different states will have their own freaking culture. Let's just go back to federalist ideas, you know?
That's the thing is that's a really tricky situation you got yourself there, because if you give states too much autonomy, then you've
Why
got
be a part of it.
exactly you've got problems like California's huge debt, and then Texas has an amendment to our constitution requiring a balanced budget. We cannot run a deficit in this
Right.
state.
Yeah, which is
So
awesome.
there's that level of autonomy, but all state debts ultimately have to be paid by the federal government at some point. That's 9th and 10th Amendment essentially, and you're gonna run into problems of like the abortion issue essentially. Like, where is it a states' rights issue or is it a federal issue? And drug laws, like the marijuana laws, like it could be legal in Colorado but illegal federally and illegal in Texas. So if you did federalism, you could have even more autonomy with those states, and those states could be like, okay, well, we don't want to pay a federal income tax. We don't want to have any income tax. And they could start selectively disobeying the Constitution, essentially. So, and that's I think that's what would happen, is essentially like states would get a little bit too carried away, which it can be good and bad. Like, it's a very mixed bag with federalism. We're also too ingrained in global issues. I mean, we are the world's superpower by far.
Dude, Texas by itself, it's like one of the 10th largest.
By far,
It's
though?
the 9th biggest economy in the world.
By far?
Powerful.
Well, then why? But you're saying that as if we
Like
couldn't
13.
separate. We could still separate, and then we'd have different superpowers of the world, you know? Texas would be one of them, I guess.
Yeah, if Texas
You know what
would
I
be
mean?
fine, but what about Connecticut?
Are we worried
or
about Connecticut? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I get
Kansas?
it, but, like, all you're doing as a government is making sure the borders are good.
No, they're
And
not.
no. If we did this crap, if we went ham, here's how it should ideally, I would think, you make sure the borders are okay. Maybe have some border control among states, but now there'd be countries pretty much.
Huh.
And then they deliver the mail, like how they started. What's going on?
Did we cut away?
No, we shouldn't have.
Okay.
Still says we're going.
Cool.
She say we did or no?
Yeah.
Really? No way, dude.
We got a person on the outside.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Feeding
as
us
far as
info.
I know, like I've got that going right now. This is like, dude, we're trying to get used to this whole freaking Facebook Live BS. I can't wait to use YouTube Live. But that's why I need you guys to subscribe, because like
Yeah.
we need 1,000 freaking subscribers to go YouTube Live. So that'd be a way better idea and thing for us to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, they control the borders, or they help the borders out or whatever among states. Now they'd be countries pretty much. and they deliver the mail. This is literally how they started, and it's like,
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of nuances and this wouldn't work because of whatever. But, dude, where are we at right now? There's a lot of nuances and a lot of things that don't work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure that there's not a perfect system. We know that.
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
we're as perfect as it gets right now.
You think so? Right now? I think we were. Right now?
Well, no. Okay.
I mean,
The country's awesome. The country's amazing. We're like one of the best in the world. We are the best in the world. I will obviously stand behind that. Because if you go anywhere else, you're like, what the hell are they doing here? This is crazy.
I mean, dude.
I haven't been there. I've been to Honduras. That's crazy.
Yeah, but you can't even own certain guns in Honduras.
Right.
I mean, you could get killed by some gang members. I'm missing through.
There's a lot of stuff that could happen.
I mean,
I'm there, dude. I agree. America's badass that way.
Just so I can kind of get into it already. It's the whole 2A thing. You were talking about the Constitution and all that, and
Yeah.
I mean, dude, in Honduras you can't even own certain guns.
Well, what are the certain guns? Do you know? Like, is it like, assault rifles, or is it handguns and freaking,
So like basically some handguns you can't own.
Okay.
I think like really any semi-automatic gun. I want to say I really don't know the laws in Texas. Or laws in Honduras. I just have people that come from Honduras and I show them some of my guns and they're like, "Oh, we can't even have that."
Yeah.
And it's just really weird, because I know there's instances where even in Mexico they keep out certain cartel members just because the people are armed. That's simple. People are armed and cartel members don't fuck with them.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just feel like that's like, to me, that just really
Because they
highlights-
don't want anyone with guns.
Yeah, and
Because they would go against tyranny.
yeah,
Because that's the freaking point of the 2A.
yeah,
Yeah.
And another thing that has been mentioned before, again, dude, I've been watching way too much Tim Pool. I go in stints, guys. I go in stints where I'm like, Joe Rogan. And then I'm like, Tim Pool. I watch these guys constantly, right? Yeah. But Tim Pool is coming out with some news. That's why I'm watching it. He's talking about how we have a gun culture in America versus just having guns. Like, we have a gun culture, and that's why he thinks nothing can really go crazy, because he's like, we have people with lots of guns, and they'll say, look at my gun. And they'll say, catch it out of pry it out of my cold dead hands type stuff. That's a different cultural thing.
And what's
doesn't exist in
another
other
cool
countries.
thing about the gun culture is it really transcends race. Like, there are people of all races,
Clearly.
and people of all backgrounds,
of all backgrounds that like guns. Why wouldn't you? It's literally a protection.
They're awesome.
They're freaking cool, man. It's a
Yeah.
protection, dude.
Anyone who doesn't like a gun has not been to a range.
Did you know that more deaths happen by stabbing
Really?
than gun violence?
Well,
I
would assume more. I'm trying to think of the numbers here, man, because it's like
deaths. I don't know if that's
like,
just murder. I don't know.
Well, like even just talking about deaths, like for guns, you have roughly. Well, last one I saw was from 2019. You have about 38,000 homicides with a gun, but about 24,000 of them are suicide. So that leaves
And it's
about,
handgun too.
Yeah, so that leaves about like 13,000.
And they want to get rid of assault rifles because they look the scariest.
Yeah, but actually most of them are done by
handguns.
pistols.
Yeah.
But it's really weird, man. Like
maybe that was the stat. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Guys, just like go ahead and like
go to FBI crimes.
go ahead and just like look it up. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna preface like straight up say that I don't know what I'm talking about. So.
No, but with the whole gun thing, man, I was talking about earlier too. Again, the whole play on words is really weird. How you seek statistics, and those statistics how they could be played, and how they could be interpreted.
Well, he was saying that like polls are just fake, pretty much.
Yeah,
you can use statistics to prove anything.
Yeah,
I mean, like this. I mean, I'm gonna hit you with a little light one that legit. I was like, whoa, and I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh, it's weird how they worded all this. I had to read it about 3 times to really like look at it, but it's so. On average on year, like every year, about anywhere from 500,000, so 500,000 to about 3 million times a year in the United States, a gun's used for self-defense. And mind you, there's 38,000 homicides, right? So that's a lot. But then people try to debunk that and all that, and they say it's about 25,000. That's still more than homicides. Remember it's about 12, 13. That's double. But then they're like, well, out of those 25, only 294 of them are justified homicides. And I'm like, damn, 294 are only justified homicides. But then, you know, you just a little bit of logic there, and you think, yo, when you shoot someone, they don't always die. And sometimes when you pull out your gun, you also don't shoot.
Mm-hmm.
That's still 25,000 times a gun's used. You know, so I feel like
They
guns
still
are
count
really,
that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They still count that, but they're just like, they hit you with a random fact. 294 were only justified homicides.
And how many times do you pull out a gun in self-defense, don't fire it, and then report that to the police so they can jot it down in their statistical notebook? No,
That's where
that doesn't happen.
That's where the 500 or the 500,000 to 3 million happens.
Yeah, that's a big discrepancy. Yeah, I could definitely see
500,000 to 3 million. Yeah, that's a pretty big jump there.
I mean, because you don't
That's
know.
great because you don't know. Exactly. You have no idea. That's crazy. Wowzers, man.
And it's really weird, man. Just like, also just the whole constitutional carry thing, that's probably going to happen. Maybe not. If it doesn't. If it does, I mean, I still feel like people should still take a class for LTC. I mean,
Dude,
it doesn't,
for sure.
I mean,
you
it's
need
just,
a class.
They
but
should just educate themselves
I mean,
for sure.
but it's funny how people are like kind of misinformed about just taking an LTC class. They think that it shows you how to draw your gun out of a holster. Like, no, it doesn't show you that. It's just really kind of like the legality of
it's a bunch of legal stuff. And
they literally do it to teach you about that, yeah.
Yeah, like...
And then make sure you can hit an orange from like 10 feet away.
Yeah. I think it's like 5, 10, 15 or something like that.
It's so easy.
It's easy.
It's pretty close, man.
It's super easy, yeah, for sure.
I think it's 3 yards, 5 yards.
I took mine and it was like an old retired cop, and he's like, all right, let's do it. And we were literally out in this backyard, dude, and we're doing this. It's East Texas. It's East Texas. He had like a whole hidden land and stuff. He's like, oh, let me move my tractor. You know, he literally had hay on this. I'm not even kidding. This is true. Had hay on this tractor. He's like, moves it out of the way, and then here we are on like 10 plastic barrels to set our stuff on, and then we have the wooden posts with targets on them, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, let's do it. I'm like, what the? And he painted lines. I'm actually cool with it, but it's just funny to me.
Yeah.
Because you hear about other people's experience in a class, and it's like a literal range and all this stuff.
Some classes aren't real. I mean, I've taken the LTC class twice, and my first one was trash.
Yeah.
The second one was actually pretty good. I felt like it was actually really informative.
Well, he taught me a lot about the legalities, and that's what I wanted to know in the first place. I had already been shooting guns. I already knew how to shoot a gun. That's fine, but like, I wanted to know if I shoot somebody, how am I gonna like play this out?
Yeah.
Because I'm not like and then at the end of the day, he was just like, to be honest with you guys, dude, even in Texas, it's up to the jury. Luckily,
grand jury.
Luckily, you're in Texas, so
you could still get hit with a civil suit by families, man, and
right.
You know, I don't know. It's just it's weird, you know. It's
And then you have the stories of the sheriffs that are like, if you kill somebody in your house, you know, drag them into your house. Or kill somebody outside of your house, but they're intruding, drag them into your house or whatever, you know.
Yeah. That's not good advice, but
yeah, don't touch the body.
Just avoid the situation.
That's do you have the stories of sheriffs telling people that? It's crazy. Small towns.
I just put bear traps hidden around my house. People are walking around, sleuthing as they will, and then next thing you know, bear trap to the ankle.
That's like old school. He's like apocalypto.
Is that? It's not illegal though, right?
No,
bear traps in your yard?
You can't do that, dude.
I'm asking.
No, you definitely can.
You can?
Absolutely. On your own property?
No, you can't have like unintended, like something that's unintended that could harm someone. You can't have that.
What do you mean?
I think like even on your own property, you can't. Like you can't. I don't know. Like look it up. I'm pretty sure that's the thing. That's something that I learned in my class. You can't have like a booby
unintentional trap. Let me see.
Because it's technically a booby trap.
Yeah.
And you don't know. It's like if it kills someone, I think that's second-degree murder or something like that. Where in Texas, just murder. Because if it harms someone, you're just living it out there for everyone.
Traps set on your property? ? First one is, when can you put booby traps on your property?
Non-lethal booby traps?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean,
mechanical devices that can cause death or serious bodily harm to an intruder are not okay. But that isn't.
That was illegal.
Booby traps, like man traps, spring guns, that is, firearms tied to a tripwire, and snares, have been heavily regulated and banned to one extent or another since 1825.
Whoa.
But that doesn't say Texas. This is all.
That is true.
This is all.
Me and Matt are trying to put shotgun bear traps.
Hell yeah. I really just want like 2 big swinging logs.
Oh, old school.
Yeah. Like in Star Wars. You know what I'm talking about? Chicken Walker comes in, the Ewoks. Anyway. But yeah, that's a good question. Can you have traps?
Texas Penal Code Code 932, Defensive Property Spring guns / booby traps. The actor is so far privileged to use a device intended or likely to cause serious bodily harm or death for the purpose of protecting his land or chattels. Chattels? How do you say that? Chattels. From intrusion, that he is not liable for the serious bodily harm or death thereby caused to an intruder whose intrusion is, in fact, such that the actor, were he present, would be privileged to prevent or terminate it by the intentional
bear traps
infliction of such harm.
Dude, let's get those
Restatement
shotgun
second of torts and restatement. There's a lot of restatements here. I need to find the actual. Where's the current one?
Probably the top one.
All of these say possessor of land or chattel is privileged to use reasonable force when necessary to defend possession against intrusion, taking harm, or continuing trespass. Defending may only use reasonable force. Reasonable force is the least force likely to be effective. And that's what the guy was saying when in my LTC. He said it says reasonable force, and reasonable force can be determined by a jury different than yours.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, what if reasonable force, I guess now, is a bear trap?
Look, I think reasonable force is lava pouring from my roof. Well, that's not reasonable to, a grand jury.
I mean, have you ever seen Home Alone? Like, come on now, right?
Dude.
Like, dude, that's an interesting topic, though. I haven't even thought about that. Traps in your freaking yard, dude. That's pretty sick.
I got so many in my head. So a big
jeez.
pit with spikes at the bottom of it to impale my
that's like
intruder.
normal stuff, right?
Matt's
What
gonna
kind of traps? Like, I'm talking old school. Like, I wonder if people did
Dungeons.
this. People set these traps. Like,
That's not really a
Dude.
trap, though. It's like medieval torture. But anyway, so
There's like a pit with spikes at the bottom.
have you guys ever been to? Have you been to medieval times?
Oh yeah, you see the little whole torture thing?
Yeah, you go to the little torture part of it. Yeah.
Isn't there like something where
weird,
you put
man.
like glass in someone's like pee hole and then you smash it? It's a real thing. No.
Holy crap, dude! I
there's
think
all
that is a
sorts
real
of
thing.
tortures. Yeah.
That is a real thing, but that's like, that just I can't. That's crazy. I just wanted to ask you guys if you had been to it. I guess I really didn't want to talk about it. I should have been.
I've never been
should
in medieval times. I've heard it's pretty cool.
You've never been?
Nah.
It is pretty. You can go once, and it's pretty cool. It's a good experience. I think that if you're older, it's a little cheesy, but necessary in a way.
Like a rite of passage for.
But then you watch what's that movie? Knight's Tale. Is that what it is?
I'm not sure. There's a bunch of night movies.
Yeah.
The main one, dude.
About jousting?
With freaking
Heath Ledger?
Heath Ledger, dude. The one with Heath Ledger.
I don't know who else is in it.
I'm not
Trying
worried
to
about
think.
it. I just Knight's
Doesn't
Tale.
matter. What's the point?
It reminds you of that when you go to medieval times. It's jousting. It's cool.
Yeah, that
it's like
sounds really corny.
for Heath
Next.
Ledger, dude.
Also,
For Heath Ledger.
Also, you have to eat like food with your fingers. There's no forks. It's medieval times.
That's why. Yeah, that's why it's. I'm interested because like no one's commenting. Maybe they can't see it. It says it's live. We're good. I'm watching it on Facebook, so I think we're good. Sorry, I just went back to that because Sierra said she couldn't see it.
Yeah, she said she couldn't find it.
Still? What if I share it on my page? Share it to page. Toasty Podcast. We are live. Come join us. Not now, just share it, please. There we go, shared to my page.
So,
Anywho, you got over here, right?
Yeah.
But do you know how that happened? Because you were made in Honduras. I know you grew up here, but like, when
Yeah.
did you come over here? It was like really early on.
No, like legit. I was like made there, and then I was born here. So like 1991.
Oh, made
born.
like that.
Like legit.
Wowzers.
Mom and dad were out there doing the thing.
Yeah, but did
and
they
She didn't know.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then bam, here, first generation.
How did that work? Like, how does citizenship work? Like, for real, full stop. I'm not kidding, man.
I don't know. I was born like I was
it
just born
depends.
here.
It really depends how much money you have, who you know, and where you're coming from, and what kind of background you have.
Also,
Like your
like,
parents.
early
Like your
90s.
parents. Do they live here now?
Yeah. Oh, except my dad. Dad stayed over there. He has
Really?
a whole family over there. Yeah.
He has a whole
Does he-
family over there.
Yeah. Does he qualify?
What does that
Yeah.
mean?
No, Tegucigalpa is the capital.
Oh,
of Honduras.
Okay. Tegucigalpa is how I say it.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not. He's
like, nah.
Close enough, I get it.
Oh man, that's funny, dude. Wow, holy crap. Oh man. All right, dude. I think we've hit a lot of stuff, and I think we're good.
I mean, I think we hit everything. I think we talked about everything that the world wants to know, but we solved absolutely nothing.
We solved nothing, but there's still not the Israel thing. I want to get into that, and I think
Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
We'll handle that next
I
time.
can touch on it real quick.
Some PowerPoint.
Then touch on it.
So I'm gonna touch
on it, Matt.
Oh, dude.
Can I get a no? Yeah.
I mean, I've honestly really been wanting to know because, like, I feel like I tried to Google this and try to research this, and it's just like, all right, so whose fault is this? This looks like it's been happening for thousands of years. It seems like where is it?
The fact that Israel is involved is a big deal.
I wouldn't say thousands. I'd probably say hundreds, definitely, because the Palestinian
numbers.
I don't even know, ethnicity as itself basically was made up about 700 years ago, or so, and they were essentially just Arabs that occupied that area, that lived in that area of the Middle East, in modern day Israel. And whenever the nation of Israel was created in 1947, 48, 47, a lot of those Palestinian Arabs were displaced because of the creation of the Jewish state, and that's a huge reason of why the modern conflict exists today. And long story short, a designated terrorist group by the U.S. and by multiple other countries around the world, named Hamas, is in control, much like the Taliban was in control of Afghanistan. Hamas is in control of the Gaza Strip and a lot of Palestinian controlled. I lost my bet. I said I lost. They control a lot of. So Hamas is the governing body that controls all of Palestinian.
So basically, a big mob
area
owning this freaking.
Essentially, yeah. And they essentially get rockets from Iran, and are openly saying this. They're getting these rockets from Iran, and thanking Iran for the rockets.
Didn't we provide that to them?
We provided them. The Obama administration provided Iran with a pallet full of cash. It was roughly $500 million in straight up foreign currency, like dropped from a C-130. Pallets of cash, literally.
Yeah. No, we talked about that before too. That's insane.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Guess what they do with that? They fund terrorists around the Middle East to destabilize the region so that they remain a regional power. And the whole theory behind the Obama administration foreign policy was that they would basically placate to Iran to make them the regional power, and then they would be on our side, and it'd be great because they're already a huge regional power. But if we can get Saudi Arabia and Iran on our side, which is impossible to do because they hate each other, then we'll have a much more peaceful Middle East, and that's just ridiculous. The main reason there was a lot of turmoil in the Middle East is because the Palestinians kept getting more and more credibility from liberal leaders in the United States and Iran, and more power from Iran because they kept getting weapons and kept getting funding, and because Iranians hate Jews. They just hate them. They hate Israel. They hate the whole. They're just anti-Semitic completely. The Iranian government, at least, not necessarily the people, but the Ayatollahs are definitely very anti-Semitic, and the Jews, the Israelis have a very good defense system in their country. It's called the Iron Dome,
That's
and
amazing.
it's 90% effective against rocket attacks.
And they get hit all the time.
Yeah,
Constant.
Dozens of rockets have hit in this latest uprising. But yeah, the reason the Trump administration got so many of those peace deals is because they said we're not giving any credibility to Iran. We're not giving any credibility to the Palestinians. Right now, we're not even going for a two-state solution. We're going for Israel has the right to defend itself and has the right to protect its sovereignty. And the Palestinians are basically becoming more and more aggressive and getting more and more and getting all these opportunities for peace, and they keep shutting them down because they don't get 100% of what they want. And it's a real issue when the Biden administration basically opens up negotiations to Iran, undermines Israel, and undermines those peace agreements that Israel has, and promotes the Palestinian Authority. It's a real thorn in Israel's side as a nation, and they're very united as a country when it comes to protecting their own sovereignty, as the country should be. So it's kind of a
so that now they're defense. So you're saying Israel's on the defense? That's why this is breaking out.
Yeah, for sure. They're not shooting rockets back over.
This is an article.
Well, they are, but they're very, very targeted attacks.
This is an article from Israel National News. Israeli National News. And it's talking about the rockets and stuff like that. And it's like more than 300 rockets were fired at Israel on Thursday. That's today. Sirens were sounded. And, of course, this is in towns that I can't pronounce. I'm not going to try to ruin those towns. The communities in the Shafela region, in the Ashkelon and Ashdod areas were targeted. This is insane to me. 300 rockets today.
Yeah.
300. Who just gets 300 rockets around?
If you've seen the videos, it's crazy looking.
There's a freaking picture on this thing. It's literally 4th of July.
Didn't they shoot more the day before?
Maybe they did, dude.
Was it like 1,000?
I don't know. I'm thinking
I'm
like,
sure they're starting.
and the Iron Dome is just like pow, pow, pow.
90%
is that what's happening?
Effective, yeah.
90% effective. Apparently, a few of them landed.
Crazy.
Like a few out of 300. Like yeah,
they've
90%.
They've killed like it's all civilians that they're killing. The Palestinians.
Yeah, it's not.
And what's crazy to me is the Israeli Defense Force will call Palestinian Authority and say, "Hey, we're gonna bomb the crap out of this building. Make sure there's no civilians in there. Okay, we're gonna give you an hour. We're gonna give you a knock bomb, which is a bomb that goes off on the roof, doesn't destroy the building. It shakes the building, and lets people know, oh crap, we better get out of here. And then we're gonna blow the building down and everything that's inside of it. You have 1 hour." And then they wait an hour, and then they do it.
They do exactly what they're gonna do.
Yep. But they tell them in advance because they don't want civilian deaths.
Right, because
they go to extreme
Israel
lengths.
is like,
That's extremely polite.
They're
the
a moral
almighty
country.
freaking country. Yeah, it's like a moral country.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like one of the onlys. It's in my opinion.
We don't do that.
It's literally the only, if you want to say that.
I mean, we've blown up lots of hospitals.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we are not.
Every president since let me think. Let me go back here. Gosh,
this is where the facts come in.
Wilson probably blown up a hospital.
Yeah.
At least one.
Every single president since Wilson. Wow.
Yeah. Maybe not Reagan. Not 100% sure. But maybe we've blown up a lot of stuff.
And we don't call them beforehand.
Hell no.
I would say that kind of like
we don't even call them after.
It's very moral, and that's great, and I love that. And maybe that's how it should be, but also isn't that the point of the whole war? What do you do? As Israel...
You don't want me to tell you.
Israel just needs to start blowing crap up. Is that what you're going to say?
I think, in my opinion...
Because Israel is in the right, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. In my opinion, the Palestinians have been afforded every opportunity. They've been given peace deal after peace deal after peace deal, and each one gets better and better and better for them. And they don't accept anything, nothing. They go back home, they pout, they say, that's not enough, we want more. We want the whole city of Jerusalem. We want this, we want that. And Jerusalem's been the Jewish capital since, for 2,000 years, 4,000 years, whatever.
Woo!
And they've been given every right, and they placate to terrorists. They are terrorists. And they're not doing anything to better themselves.
Right.
They're not even trying to come to the table. So, I mean, I say put up a big wall and
abolish Palestinian Authority. Palestinian Authority, yeah.
I think
get rid of it.
I don't know. There's no easy solution at all. There's no humanitarian solution.
You know, why can't it all be like the Soviet Union breaking up?
What do you mean?
It wasn't like it didn't get to civil war. They just were like a new political power came into play, and he was like smart about it. He's like, okay, well, you know what? We're gonna break everything up this way.
Gorbachev?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was a great leader.
I just learned that today, by the way, because I was doing some research on revolutions and stuff.
Yeah, Gorbachev was an amazing person.
Apparently.
Yeah, really like good.
It's interesting.
Good.
That they still
person
ran
in
the same
history.
way. Like they still ran their type of communism, oligarchy, whatever you want to call it, kind of thing. It's not. I don't think it's real communism, but nothing is real communism.
No, in the latter part of the Soviet Union, it was definitely not. I
Right.
mean, they tried for sure.
Yeah.
Every way to make communism work, and it did not work. Turned a lot of that region into atheists, and now Christianity's on the rise in Russia, which is pretty interesting.
Whoa.
That was random. Where did that come from? That's interesting. Really?
Yeah, and
that just came out. Like I feel like that came out. Okay, yeah, wow.
yeah.
That fact, you're relating that to being communist, and it turns people atheist.
Mm-hmm. Well, communism doesn't allow freedom of religion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Christianity's on the rise because
I mean, Russia's always had a Orthodox Christian population, especially Western Russia. So it probably is just kind of spawned from that, grown from that.
what surprises me the most is that you can leave.
What, Russia?
Yeah, you can leave.
Oh yeah.
It's not like we have Russian immigration and all that stuff. You can. It's not like they're like you can't like China. I feel like is a little bit more
Soviet
on
Union,
that.
you were not allowed to leave.
Right. Yeah.
But now that the Soviet Union's collapsed, you can still travel within former Soviet states. I think they still had some sort of agreement where you could travel within those states and not have to have a passport. But no, it's pretty. I would say as far as a former Soviet country goes, it's fairly free. You know.
I would like to see what it's like. Yeah, I would like to go and see
Yeah.
how is it really. You
I
know.
want to go to St. Petersburg and Moscow. And
Really? I want to see it, man.
Dude.
Maybe that's what the Toasty podcast ends up doing. Let's go report.
let's go travel.
No, report on actual thing. Do we have a news outlet? This is something I've been looking into. Do we have a news outlet that literally reports like old school boots on the ground type stuff?
Yeah, several. Vice. It depends on what you're looking for, really. Like Vice is good.
Is it?
Yeah, I like Vice.
There's no narrative.
No, there's definitely narrative. They're very liberal, but at the same time, they also do some hard truth, like all sorts of different stuff. I like Vice.
What I would like to do,
I know what they are, but I still
our
like them.
thing right now, we should do one on drugs as far as legalizing them.
Mhm.
And I would like to go to Canada, specifically Vancouver, and see the state they're in with like the free healthcare part of it. It's not necessarily legalized, but you do the drugs and they provide everything you need after. Because there's a street filled with people in the mornings that have gone to the clinics and got what they needed and no cane or whatever they call it to get your
Dude, you're over here trying to dance with the devil, man.
come down from meth or whatever. I would like to go and report on these
Narcan.
things. Narcan, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen this with my own eyes. I know it exists, but I'm like, I want to go and like report on this stuff because we talked about that. We've talked about legalizing drugs and everything else. We were going into way too many topics. Holy crap! We need to slow it down, and we need to get out of this thing and be done. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, man, I feel like we covered everything.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I feel like we talked about you guys.
I think you were mesmerized, honestly, because like you're not okay. All right, cool. I was gonna say we had a guest on, but like he just wanted to chill, so I was like, yeah, let's go. Why not?
Yeah.
Come chill.
I mean, you guys were just kind of going at everything. It just felt like an Uzi, just
We're just praying and spraying, bro.
Dude,
I said
and
we did
whatever
not.
hit,
We didn't have.
whatever hit, and you guys just ran with it, and then you're like, oh, we're done with this, and you threw that out to the side.
We don't. Is that bad? Tell me.
No, I don't even know what to think about it.
Okay.
I was like legit. I was mesmerized, man. I was legit just listening to it. I wasn't ready for Matt to just
Well,
like,
heck
go
yeah.
off about everything. He was like so quiet outside. He's just like, oh, well, you know. And then he's just like, well, the Palestinians.
Bro, that's how we do it here at the Toasty Podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you haven't yet, share this. Please share it. Also, support us and all the other crap. On YouTube, I have all the links in the subscription or in the description. You'll see everything that I provide as far as affiliates and You can follow us on Instagram and just everything, just all that stuff. You know
all
how
the
that,
social medias.
all the social medias. You know the drill. As far as that goes, thank you, Brian, for being on.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
We'll have you on again. Why
Yeah,
not?
appreciate y'all inviting me. So it
of course.
was awesome.
It's always nice to have a fellow
Maybe.
man that believes in good government.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
which
should
is
say it like that from now on.
good government is less government.
Good government is less government. All right. Well, anyway, I'll leave it at good government. I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna
dude.
leave it
Just
at
kidding.
what does government do that the private sector, or what does government do better than the private sector?
Okay, yeah, we've talked about that before. Yeah, true. Yes, ask that question to yourself, guys, tonight.
Just
Also,
yourself.
ask yourself, what are you gonna eat? What's for dinner?
At like 11. 30?
I'm hungry, dude. I'm feeling snacky, you know.
You're feeling-
Okay. All right, guys.
Okay.
It's been real. It's been fun. It has not been real fun. And stay toasty.
Stay toasty, everybody.
Alrighty.
Toasty.